Are going to start the stream. Are you recording?
Will be shortly. Here we go. Recording.
Okay, you let me know when you're recording. Do a countdown.
Oh,
I'll
it's
start up.
recording already. Just go. Whatever. I can cut that. I can cut it out.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's fine.
Oh, okay. No problem.
Okay. Good. All right. So fear of FOMO. Pardon me. FUD or FOMO on crypto regarding every kind of crypto. I think it's important to start this out with saying that crypto is coming up a little bit, particularly with ETH. I don't know if people are watching the news. I assume people are. I know John and I have our ears to the news because we read it every other, right, every half week, every 3.5 days we're reading the news. So we're quite aware of what's going on. And if anyone's watching CoinGecko the way we watch CoinGecko, they'll know that both Bitcoin and Ethereum up, but Ethereum's way up over Bitcoin, at least percentage-wise. Last week,
Yeah, about 40%, man. That's crazy.
Well, I think it's because people are finally getting access to their wrapped ETH, right? And there's some result coming in from Celsius. Not a good result, but a result. But yeah, if we look at the percentages of dominance, Bitcoin is still hanging out around 40% dominance for the entire crypto market, whereas ETH, which was down around 14%, has come up to about 17%. So it's regaining its previous dominance. For the longest time, when Ethereum was doing well, it was hanging out around 20% of the entire market dominance, and it dropped a lot because of this stETH problem, this staked ETH issue, and the Celsius closure for the last month plus. So,
3 Arrows Capital.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 3 Arrows Capital having gone bankrupt along with Voyager.
I think that had a lot to do with it.
And other things are coming to some level of resolution. And so, yeah.
But it looks like we're rebounding, though. I mean, Bitcoin's up 10% past 7 days. Ethereum up 40%. BNB up 15%. Let's see, going down, XRP 13%, Cardano 10%, Solana 30%, Dogecoin 7%, Polkadot 17%, Polygon 62%. Wow.
Yeah, everything is really rebounding a lot. I mean, Ethereum Classic's up 80%. What other thing? I don't think there's anything else in the top 100 is up quite as much as Ethereum Classic is right now. But a lot of things are doing quite a lot. All right, here we go. Lido. The Lido DAO token is up 133% in the last week. So yeah, things are drastically rebounding.
Where's Lido at?
Oh, it's further down the list. Number 71. Number 71 on the list.
What's the difference between Lido's staked Ether? Well, obviously
it's staked, right, versus Lido's DAO token. So yeah, almost everything's in the green. The only thing that's going down is Chain. Leo token. Leo was doing really well when everything else was going down. It was going up, and so it's kind of reversing the trend. And then the stable coins, because they're getting hit so hard, because people are pulling money out of it to buy other tokens. So.
Yeah, but overall, it looks like we're over $1 trillion now, so that's a good thing.
Yes.
But I'm still hesitant to really fully go into this right now. I feel like this might be a false positive.
That's exactly the way I was feeling about it too. But I would say that in my lack of wisdom, I feel like I'm always reverse the market. So whatever I say is good, don't believe me.
Yeah. But hey, we got to get Quothing and Bad Guy on here. Let's see. Invite to speak. Come on in, man. Jump along. Let's talk about the markets. Going sideways, going up, going down, going backwards, going forward. What do you guys think? While we continue on looking at the market, because right now this is just it's exciting, to be honest. I like waking up when things are in the green, but at the same time it's a little sad because that means I can't buy more sats for an affordable price.
Well, if you bought the
always a good
dip,
thing.
you did what you intended to do. None of us have, $1
Yeah.
million in our back pockets. It was free of the market before now. So, or I don't know. Maybe Quothing does. I shouldn't say he doesn't. Not knowing what other people are thinking. I hope you guys can hear me okay, right, John? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you pretty good. No
The other guys
problemo,
can hear me
man.
or not, but it appears to be working.
Respond if you can hear. Xander, what's up, Xander? Welcome. It's always nice to see you around here. We're trying to figure out, man, if this is FUD or FOMO. Is the market going up, going down, going sideways, going forward, going back, going in circles, vortex? What is going on with the
Circling the
market?
drain.
So, as a miner, Jake, do you even care if the market goes up or
No,
goes
and that's the
down?
reason I'm always in the market as a miner in general, is because as I've said to many people in the past, and the great thing about being a miner is it feels like you're just receiving a gift. Whenever you get coins, you're like, oh, more coins, thank you. Oh, more coins, thank you. Yeah, I don't care what the price is. I mean, well, I do in a sense. I'm not saying that I hate the market and I never want to use it again. It's just that whatever the market price is doesn't affect me as much if the money I'm making, somewhere else doesn't affect that. So my mining operation I pay for myself and I can afford it, then however many coins I make doesn't matter. I'm for right now mining for the future.
How far down the future? Like 6 months, 1 year, 10 years?
All right, so I've already said this because I'm still a huge. I mean, you guys can see it in my name. I have DMO. Everyone else has RVN. I'm waiting for Dynamo to hit $100, and I know the trolls in the Dynamo forums are like, that'll never happen. And that's fine. They don't have to believe that, but I'm fairly confident that it could support that value. And I think the same thing went for people in the beginning with Ethereum. No one knew it was going to be worth 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. Nobody knew that. Everybody hoped it would. And once Ethereum became more valuable and profitable and useful, it found its level. So once Dynamo finds its level in the same way, it will become more useful and more people will use it, and it will become more valuable because more people will trade. So I'm just waiting for that. All right, now I keep telling people, particularly my customers, the ones who are mining with me, is don't look at Dynamo as 5 cents, which is roughly where it is right now. Look at it as $100. If I'm mining, let's say 500 Dynamo a day, if its future value is $100, that's what, $50,000 a day. So I keep looking at it as I'm making $50,000 a day right now, even though it's not what I'm making.
Yeah. Well, my concern is Dynamo doesn't have a cap.
But Ethereum doesn't either.
Going to be
right. Ethereum has no cap. Dynamo has no cap.
Right.
We've already proven that a capless coin can be valuable. So don't use that as an excuse.
Okay. Do you think that Dynamo will bring more value than Ethereum?
Oh yeah. No, it's mainly because Dynamo is not centralized the way Ethereum somewhat is, and that everything is done on chain. Anything you want to do, it's on chain. Voting on chain, changes on everything is chain based, not foundation based. There's even Sean himself.
Okay, but,
Sean himself doesn't have control over Dynamo.
So let me ask you this: in regards to what you just said, centralized versus decentralized. When you have a centralized entity, it's very obvious that when you have a foundation that's focused on pushing forward the project or spearheading the project forward, they lead the reins, and depending on how good they are, they can just push it as fast and as far as they can. And when you have something decentralized, you have a lot of confusion, a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of disagreements. and you don't really have anyone leading the reins. That's what decentralized is, and that's my concern. And I think that that does play a lot with Ravencoin as well. There is no like true foundation there that really spearheads exactly what's going on with it. There's a lot of people that have ideas that want to do with it, and they fork it, and they do things with it.
Per the last conversation that Sean was trying to make a point, and maybe I don't want to say he's too involved to understand what's going on. I'd say a person who isn't heavily involved does know what's going on, but he might be, he's not a marketing guy, and he's already admitted that. He does have a marketing guy, and that marketing guy is supposed to be doing the thing that they keep making mention of is we're setting up this environment, this network, for people to develop tools on and to make it as easy as possible, kind of the way EVM is supposed to be set up, right? The problem is we already know this is even though EVM makes it easy for people to set up all kinds of tools on top of Ethereum, the problem Ethereum had, at least until things like rollups came along, was that you couldn't get enough transactions through. I mean, there's a lot of transactions on Ethereum, no doubt. But one of the biggest problems Ethereum's always had is that it had too many transactions for its network. And that's why they tried making changes over time. Dynamo doesn't have that problem. Now, let's say Dynamo became even half as popular as Ethereum. It would still be able to support the number of transactions going through. Now, if it became far more so, we'd have to change it up how it works. But honestly, it's not that different. It's just a question of making sure you have enough bandwidth for support. And of course, Dynamo is never going to go full proof of stake like Ethereum is. It's currently set up in a way. It's not, the staking isn't running at the moment, but it's going to be 70-30 once it gets up and running. And if someone wants to make a proposal that we change the staking to half and half, someone can do that. Even right now, they could do it. Just make your proposal, write it up, pay the fee, and have people vote on it. It can be done right now. No choice. Sean doesn't have control over it. If someone else in the group who has some coin wants to make that decision, they can do it right now. So.
Okay, so the topic is crypto FUD or FOMO. And since you're a big Dynamo advocate, I want to ask you, is Dynamo FUD or FOMO as of right now, July 18th?
It depends on who you talk to. If you're talking to me, which you obviously are, then I would say it's not where I'm at. There's no fear of missing out. There's no fear, unrest, and doubt. There are other people on the forum I know on the Discord channel who are thinking that currently it is FUD. I don't see it being FOMO at the moment, although I know that the price is going up. But everything's going up. The thing I tried doing on one of my recent Anchor podcasts was making the point that despite the US dollar price of Dynamo, the Bitcoin price of Dynamo has stayed pretty much the same for the last 6 months. And that's encouraging. It means that the price of Bitcoin versus US dollars is the only thing that's been actually affecting the price of Dynamo. So I don't feel like there's fear of missing out on Dynamo because there's plenty of opportunity. Even though I know some people are down on Dynamo because the price is so low, but its price, like I said, the price is based only on the price of Bitcoin. And so it hasn't changed. I think people are just missing that perspective. If you look at it literally as the price versus Bitcoin, which is what most coins are compared to, then it hasn't changed. And so I don't think it's fear or FOMO. Now, is there fear and FOMO in other things? Absolutely. Like I bought a tiny bag of what I've been calling lunacy or Luna Classic because the letters are LUNC, so it looks like lunacy to me. Lunacy has been going down again, but it's the old Luna, the one that failed. And can it come back? Yeah, but I honestly think that lunacy will be like Ethereum Classic. It will kind of just ride the coattails of the major coin. That is assuming that Luna version 2.0 ever does anything again. I'm sure that the Luna Foundation wants it to do something again, but people kind of lost confidence.
I'm looking at CoinGecko right now, and the all-time high for Dynamo was at 8,599 sats on July 6, 2021. Currently, it is sitting at 260 sats.
Right.
That is down a lot.
Oh yeah, it's down a lot. But I mean, all coins start higher. When you look at almost any coin, including like Shiba Inu, Doge, well, maybe not Doge, but most of the more recent coins have started really high, and then they all drop down over time.
Just 4 days ago, Dynamo just found its new low at 176 sats.
Yep.
So since it's closer to its all-time low, from what it looks like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's trying to discover its bottom, and I don't think it's going to stop at 176. It's probably going to go lower, probably to 100 sats if that. If it does, then well, since you don't buy coins, I'm guessing you're not going to buy it even if it's 100 sats, right?
No, I don't buy coins. I know people who do. In fact, my partners have bought coins before, bought the Dynamo itself. But I know from experience, I'm not good at judging the market, so I don't buy them. I will make them. I will make coins and trade them, but I don't buy them.
But you do talk to people in the Dynamo community in regards to buying coins, right? So there's got to be a community consensus of what people are talking about, where they're going to buy if it hits a certain threshold. Do you know what that is?
I know people were talking about when the price did drop down there below 200 sats, that there were a lot of people buying. In fact, I think that's where the recent buy trend has come from. A lot of people said if it hits a certain price, they would be buying. And that's fine. But people have been buying all along. A lot of people I know have been buying Dynamo all along, even as it dropped. So they're right. There's not a lot of volume in it right now. We're just waiting for functionality.
So then you can you just confidently say that, considering that people just bought just recently when it dropped down to below 200 sats, that it's a FOMO time period right now with Dynamo?
I think people might perceive it that way. But
yet,
I don't know if it's not a fear, it's a FUD. Because FUD's the negative and FOMO's the positive, right? I mean, let's get our terms right. Which way do you perceive FOMO?
Well, fear of missing out. So I'm guessing that people want to buy at the dip.
Right at the bottom, right?
And they want to buy at the bottom. And FUD, from my understanding, FUD is people aren't confident with it. They want to sell it off.
Right. And so I feel like there are a lot of people buying, but it's been true all along. That, how do I put it? I feel like I'm a pariah when I talk about Dynamo. The people I know, particularly the founders who are enthusiastic about Dynamo itself because they are part of the founding team, they are all very enthusiastic about it. And I see these people who could be spending their money on something else. If you've got hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars and you see promise, I'm not saying that a person with millions of dollars necessarily is an oracle. That's not necessarily accurate. Even Mark Cuban, who is worth billions, isn't necessarily an oracle. But a person who has money and hasn't lost it yet most likely knows how to keep it. And a person that knows how to keep money probably, as I reference Warren Buffett, knows what they're doing when it comes to investment, devices and modules. When you see something that has potential, you invest in that because you see it as having potential. A lot of people, several people with a lot more money than even what Sean has, see potential in Dynamo. And I don't think it's just because Sean himself is a multimillionaire. So when I see that, and particularly people who are altruistic with their money and not just, ruthless, I trust that. I am not a millionaire. I'm not even 100,000-aire anymore. And yet I still see people who have significant funds investing in Dynamo. And when I see that, it tells me this is a good investment. I still am very bullish on Dynamo. And do I believe it's going to take off? Yes, I believe it's going to take off. And it's not just because I want it to, but because it has so much potential. And I know people are going to say, well, what is the potential, right? Why, Jake, why are you saying it has potential? What do you believe in? What is it that I could possibly believe in? And per the last conversation, but not just that example when Sean came into the space, his whole point was, who's backing? Who are the people behind this idea? Are they good people or are they ruthless? Who gives a who they are people? And the more people that get on board, the more promise that a coin has, and the more engagement that it will obtain. And that's true of any coin. It doesn't even have to be called BitConnect. It's a question of whether or not the people behind the coin are real and are interested in it for its purpose and not so much for its value. So it's like, I hate crypto bros. I'm sorry if people are listening or crypto bros. I hate crypto bros because crypto bros aren't about substance. They're about pump and dump. And I'm not about pump and dump. I don't appreciate that because it's just a ruse. It's just a lie to get people invested into something that isn't even real. I don't think of Dynamo as being that. I think of Dynamo as being a legitimate, substantial, real idea that is still working itself up to something. I mean, put it this way, John, you've been involved in Ethereum since Ethereum started. When did Ethereum really start picking up steam?
Probably 3 years afterwards, like
Right.
2020, I would say.
When, right, and you started not the earliest in Bitcoin, but when do you think Bitcoin really started picking up steam?
Bitcoin, probably 2017 when we got the first big pump.
Yeah, but the price started going up even in 2016 and 2015. It wasn't. It was
Correct.
hovering around the several $100 price range. So Bitcoin took a lot longer because it was the first of its kind, and of course Ethereum being the second major coin, although Litecoin had existed most of the time before Ethereum came along. Litecoin really didn't pick up steam at all. It still really hasn't, as far as I think. I know there's a game based on it. There's a Ethermon game based on Litecoin, but it's still not really as popular as Litecoin or as Ethereum is. So
you know what's interesting? I just did
any major project is going to take some time. I realized Solana came out of nowhere, and Shiba Inu also came out of nowhere. But those are kind of meme coins, or things that are just like backed by billions and billions of dollars. And it's like, I'm not saying that can't happen. Solana is doing okay, but it really is what's your engagement? What are you involved in that determines what your coin will do? If you can get enough people interested, then you get churn, then you get productivity, then you get something, right? But you also need to have a product that works, and Dynamo is very functional. We just need more people involved.
You know what? I just noticed that after looking at CoinGecko and looking at both the Raven coin and Dynamo, that Dynamo currently right now does sit. If you do a coin to coin comparison, Dynamo is twice as valuable compared to Raven coin right now.
Right.
Raven coin sitting at 122 sats and Dynamo at 260 sats.
Right. Well, the volume of Raven is a great deal higher. Obviously, a lot more churn on Raven than on Dynamo. Dynamo is currently ranked over 3,000 on the chart, and Raven is in the top 200, top 150 actually. But
of course, like you said, as people become more aware of what Dynamo is and the community adopt Dynamo and continues to use it. Now you've mined both Ravencoin and Dynamo, and currently you're mining Dynamo only, right?
Almost. Well, I'd say 80% Dynamo. Yeah.
What's the other 20%?
Various other coins,
including Ravencoin.
I have one machine on Ravencoin. Yes.
But you were mining Ravencoin for a good while, and then you switched over because was it the difficulty? Was it the power consumption? What was the issue with that?
Okay, so Dynamo has gone through a lot of stages of change, unfortunately, in my opinion. And those are probably my biggest beef with it, but I can't do anything about that. I could propose a change, but I don't think it's going to change it. The biggest reason for the changes to Dynamo that have come is because of ASIC problems. In order to try to escape the problems of dealing with ASICs taking over or FPGAs taking over, they made changes. Now, I think this is also what happened at Ravencoin. Ravencoin changes its algorithm to evade ASICs. And you kind of have to make the mining really difficult and really challenging so that ASICs can't just auto-predict the algorithm. And so Raven is a hot coin, is a hot in the sense of it really does make your GPUs grind hard. And this is also true of Dynamo. In the beginning, Dynamo was supposed to be very easy, and it was. In fact, it was so easy you could mine it on a CPU. I was really looking forward to that. And then it changed because of ASIC and FPGA issues. But my intrigue in Dynamo in the very beginning was that it was the coin outside of all other coins. Sean went to so many different algorithm creators and said, hey, can I contribute? And they said, get out of here, noob. And he's like, fine, I'll go do my own. And he was really trying to make a coin that was independent of all the other problems. I consider Dynamo to be Bitcoin 4.0. I look at Raven as being Bitcoin 3.0. And so if the Raven community had been more open to Sean, they would have had a great developer. But they said, get out of here, noob. And so he went and made his own coin, which is fine. You know, if we need improvement, we need improvement. I'm sure there's a 5 and a 6 and a 7.0 already out there. We just don't know about them. Things that are even better than Dynamo. And of course, I'm always looking for that. The reason I have so many coins, I'm invested in over 250 different coins because I don't know what's going to win.
So you're definitely not a Bitcoin maximalist.
No. To me, it's not just diversification. Obviously, diversification is one of the key rules or cardinal rules of investing. But the main thing is you never know what project's going to work, and everything, almost every coin, not some coins are obviously useless and pointless and are just there for making money for the people who created it. But like I think I was talking with you, John, explicitly outside the chat earlier. We were talking about Duino coin, and Duino coin has a very interesting limiter on it. The Duino coin's concept is that if you try mining it with a really powerful miner, you are going to get demoted. Your mining potential will be drastically demoted because the purpose of Duino coin is to mine on Arduino processors. And so if you're using anything that's not Arduino or H3 or MediaTek or Allwinner or something basically really low processor power,
so Duino's a new blockchain?
It's been around for a little while. It's not brand new.
Explain that real quick. So Duino has a hashing algorithm limiter that pretty much incentivizes anybody that's using an Arduino board that produces very low hash rate, right?
Yep.
Or I think what you mentioned off the air was that you can pretty much use any mobile device available because those also produce low hash rates as well.
Yes. In fact, one of the things I thought was funny was the guy who created it. He actually has people go and test it on things like Nintendo DS. He actually had somebody test it on a Nintendo DS. It got ridiculously low hash rate, but that was the point. I mean, I guess if you're not playing your DS anymore, you can actually hash Duino if you want. You won't get much, but the point is to be low. You don't any other processor except for maybe some like crappy old phones can run pretty much anything. You can run a Ryzen 9 on Duino, but that would be dumb because you could just use XMR. You should do XMR if you have a Ryzen 9 processor. If you had I guess if you had a Raspberry Pi cluster, you could probably do Duino and they wouldn't care, but not many people know how to do that. But anything that's more powerful, like even an Intel Xeon processor or something, you can mine something else and make more money on that. Why bother doing Duino? Duino is for cheap old processors that can barely do anything, because if you tried running a Nintendo DS on XMR, you might make one XMR every century. That would be stupid. It would be just for the fun of it, right? But you're not going to make any money.
So for the 40 phones that my phone farm that I have here that's all turned off, I could pretty much just turn them online and connect them to the Duino.
To the Duino. Yep. But the point I'm trying to make is that's just another diversification. It's like this is a way to make some money. In fact, the slower the processor, the more money you can make. That's the thing that's so funny about it. It's the reverse of every other concept out there. But that's one example. I only recently found it because I was trying to do development on the you guys all probably already know what Raspberry Pis are. What's it called? ARM-based processors that are all for tinkering and for small projects. But you can mine on a Pi. The point is that like a Raspberry Pi really won't make you very much of anything unless you use Duino coin, which is something that's dedicated to that purpose. But that's just another example of a coin with an actual purpose and not just a coin set out there to make money. Obviously, it is technically to make money, but it is to give proof of work on really slow processors an actual purpose. I really appreciate that somebody actually decided to do that. Maybe there are others out there I don't know about yet, but I'm just grateful that someone decided to go that direction. I remember the processor I bought was an Orange Pi 02 Plus, and it's the cheap version of a Raspberry Pi, but there's not a huge community for Orange Pis. So it's still fascinating to me. Just It's very basic. But there's all kinds of other coins that are available out there that I've delved into to try to diversify my account and diversify the value. And you don't know what's going to pick up. I got into Swamp Coin about 3 years ago when I very first started, and it's gone nowhere. And that's possible. Some coins fizzle out. But I'm always interested in finding out what the new thing. Well, what's the purpose of this coin? What are you doing with it? What direction are you going with it? What's the whole idea here?
So I'm on the website right now on duinocoin.com, DUINOCOIN.com.
Yep.
And they're on exchanges on Duco Exchange, PancakeSwap, SunSwap, SushiSwap. But what I'm kind of more interested in is the algorithm that they're using. They're using SHA-1, and correct me if I'm wrong, but SHA-1 is a very old and outdated algorithm and is very prone to I guess hacking per se.
It's it's likely possible. I have tested several different small processors to get it to work, and those processors with varying capabilities are definitely showing a varying level of production. Like I have an old smartphone that I'm currently running on Duino Coin, and it's doing about 415 kilohash. And it's currently the only device I'm running on it. But
do you know if this is FPGA compatible?
I'm all right. Well, knowing for a fact that you can run almost any processor on Duino Coin, I would imagine it's possible to do it on an FPGA. But like I said before, the problem with running a more powerful processor or something that can do something much more quickly is that you will get demoted. Your processing will be demoted.
Okay.
It's really better just to run a crappy old processor on it. So
okay, so that's where the limiter comes into play. So it doesn't matter if you try to one up it.
And I've tried. I have tried. I put a whole bunch of different processors on it all at once, and it immediately said, "Oh, we see that you're running, these various different processor types that have a lot more power. You're going to get demoted." And it didn't take long. Within an hour, all those other processors were demoted.
Okay, interesting. Well, that's a nice little project there. Yeah, it says you can use your computer, smart TVs, Wi-Fi routers, microcontrollers, single board computers, Teensy boards, Arduino boards, a bunch of different boards, cell phones.
Yep.
Smartphones.
Even crappy old cell phones that barely produce anything at all, as long as you can get a browser to run. In fact, if you could get an old Nokia like 9100 series with a browser to run, because they have an HTML version 4 that you can actually run of the miner, you could actually run it on an ancient phone from the 90s.
I wouldn't mind trying this out, man. That sounds pretty cool because I got a bunch of phones here. I might as well turn them all on, just mine Duino Coin with it.
Yeah. And the other one we talked about the other day was Nim Coin, or what you call Nimiq.
Yeah, you said Nimiq. Was it NimIQ, right? I got
NimIQ, right.
NimIQ.
NimIQ can run on almost any browser as long as you get the key code set up. You make a little QR code, then you load that QR code every single time you bring up the new account. And I've had at least 20 different systems running on NimIQ all at once. You don't really make very much on older devices. Like I think I have what is it? A MediaTek 8546 processor from a cheap Chinese rip-off like media player that runs Android 7. And I got it working on the browser in the Chrome browser, and it was producing 27 hash per second. It's like, well, it's doing something. It's not doing much, but it's doing something. The problem with Nimcoin is that unless you're producing it on an FPGA or an ASIC, you're really not going to you're not going to make any money on it at all. And the reason I give this example is I have an old tablet that I bought in 2016 that is still to this day running NimIQ. And in that time, in the 6 years that I've been running on NimIQ, guess how many NimIQ I've made?
No clue. I already know how much it gives you.
It gives you hardly anything. It takes a lot of processing power to actually make, because the NimIQ network is actually quite large, with a lot of people mining with Ryzens and with ASICs and FPGAs. Its production value is on the order of about 100 hash per second. I've made 10 Nim in 6 years. 10. One Nim coin isn't even worth a tenth of a penny. So
So why even do it then? What's the incentive?
because it doesn't take up any effort, I can still use the tablet, and the tablet just runs this thing when I'm not using that. So it's like I was going to be running the tablet anyways. Why not try to do something with it that actually makes money? If you look at it from the practical sense, it's completely impractical. There's no point in doing it. But
Yeah, that's me.
from the standpoint of my enthusiasm for mining technologies and mining, just making anything useful, to me it's fascinating. So yes, is it practical? No. Is it interesting to me? Yes. So
So
it's not
back to FUD
right.
and FOMO. We got a bunch of people here. If you guys want to jump on and speak about FUD or FOMO or your coin in general, feel free to jump on stage and let's have a discussion. That's what this space is all about, to have a community discussion. Just chat crypto, man. So feel free to jump on board. So as we continue on, let's see here. I'm gonna jump back over to, unless you have something, Jake. I'm gonna jump back over to
I could talk forever. So if people just like listening, I don't mind talking. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of different projects I've influenced. I think the one I wanted to mention was that a long time back, probably gosh, it was a year and a half. Yeah, it was early 2021. I moved 500 Dogecoin over to South Exchange, and South Exchange is not based on Doge, but has a lot of Doge involvement. And at that time, it was right before Elon Musk made his huge. No, it wasn't right before. It was long before he made that huge announcement that drove Dogecoin's value down to almost nothing from where it had blossomed up to. And so at the time I moved the Doge over, it was worth hardly anything, like maybe $20. And I just bought a whole bunch of what I thought to be shit coins. Who cares? These are just crap coins. Nobody buys these. There was a Trump coin, I think, on South Exchange. I didn't buy any of it, but there's a whole bunch of these different coins. And I got into Help the Homeless coin, which doesn't have a big value, but it does have a noble cause. I got into Bible Pay because it sounded interesting, not because it actually does anything. I bought some Moonshot before it went belly up. I bought some Gun Coin, Market Coin. What was the other one I got? Was Phonium. You guys ever mined Phonium before?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I think I've got 100,000 Phonium, which might be worth $1.
Yeah, yeah.
Red Coin. I got into Red Coin. I already actually got into Red Coin a long time ago because it was Reddit based. What was the other one? Well, I've had Viacoin forever because Viacoin's based off of Script, which is the same as Doge and Litecoin. Pink Coin, New Cipher, Cat's Coin. I thought that Cat's Coin was when Doge came out. Somebody else made a coin called Cat's Coin, and I was like, "Hey, cats!" So I went and bought 1,000,000 cats. I'm like, "I have 1,000,000 cats," because it was silly. A million cats might be worth $1, but who knows if it will take off? Nobody does. Like there was a great story about was it the beginning of 2021? I can't remember if it was 2021 or 21. It was early in the days of Shiba Inu. Some rando bought $10,000. Well, it wasn't quite 10,000. It was $8,888, but roughly $10,000 worth of Shiba Inu when it was worth nothing. And when it hit its highest value, that Shiba Inu purchase, that roughly $10,000 Shiba Inu purchase, became worth $2.9 billion.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm sure people have seen that news article where that person was like, "Oh my God, I just, I bought into this shit coin way back in the beginning, thinking, well, who knows it'll be worth anything." And turning $10,000 into even $1 billion would be insane.
And you know what? He lost his private keys to that.
Oh, did the person lose the keys? Okay, well.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. He didn't. He
Okay.
didn't.
Well, in any case, you know full well about the experience of throwing a hard
Yeah.
drive away that has keys on it. So
Yeah. So back to FUD or FOMO. I want to get into the whole gamification or game theory of FUD or FOMO. People tend to build either their blockchain, their coins, their NFTs, or even their digital lands around this whole idea between FUD or FOMO. For example, there's been a lot of metaverses out there where you're buying parcels of land and there's only a scarce amount of them. And that's an easily gamified platform where people are FUD or FOMOing on that, right? People are trying to buy, people are trying to sell it, people are trying to flip profit for it. people are trying to buy some more land, trying to sell some land, trying to one up it. You have experience with purchasing land in one of the metaverse games out there. Do you want to talk about your experience there, about how other players, you and other players, tend to network, I guess, play this whole game theory, Flutter FOMO?
Well, I mean, I don't have any experience with Sandbox, but I did get into Decentraland in the early days, but it wasn't so much to play games, it was just to go to meetings and learn about how Decentraland was evolving. But because I was interested in the idea of NFTs for a practical purpose and not just to put on my avatar, even though you guys can easily see that my avatar is an NFT, I got into Upland, which I've talked about before on the podcast, because Upland is EOS based in NFTs. And I don't know if anyone out there in this group or in general, if anybody listens to this later, is interested in the idea of practical NFTs. Personally, I really appreciate what Upland's done. They price out every single piece of property in a city. I think Las Vegas is the most recent city they put up for sale. And I think the thing that I was always trying to say about the buy-in is if you get into Upland and you just start with a free account, I think they give you 6,000 UPIX, is their local token, which unfortunately can't be exchanged on EOS. It's just some token that they made up for the game. But it's worth roughly, I think it's 1,000 to 1. I think it's 1,000 to 1 UPIX to $1. US dollars, and you can buy it in the game if you sign up with Upland. And as long as you don't go over $100 effectively, or 100,000 UPIX, you can continue to get the beginners or the noob NFTs. You can go around and buy, I think, 1 or 2 depending upon the place. I think right now Las Vegas's cheapest price is around $10, so 10,000 UPIX, because it's already been occupied and a lot of people have already bought up most of the property. But any of the noob properties are still available, and they're probably under 7,000 UPIX, probably somewhere between 5 and 7,000 UPIX. So you can totally go in and just buy one, and then you can immediately put it up for sale, and you can sell it for whatever you think it'll sell for. Most likely, you should sell for not much more than maybe 10% over buying, so that you can get some money. Now, if you just hold it, when people land on your property, they have to pay a fee, and that fee I think can be set anywhere from 5 to 40 UPIX. And in order to stay at your place, kind of like in Monopoly, they have to pay a fee for being there. And if the more properties you own, the more UPIX you'll make, because the more people will land on your property. Most people keep their property price somewhere around 20 UPIX. And I know some people that live around the airport and the train station tend to raise it to around 100, because more people are likely to land on them because they have to in order to get near to the travel places. But the game is literally just property sales. So you can speculate on property, you can buy property, you can trade with people for property, and you can hold it, and you can even build buildings on top of that property to improve the value. So it's a very basic game of property exchange, just like it is in real life. And you're actually playing with real property, actual addresses in the real world in the United States. Well, I got into it and saw that once you can get USDs, because you can either trade for UPIX in the game, or you can trade for USD value, literally dollar value. If you want to buy a piece of property for dollar value through PayPal, you can. Unfortunately, the only way, as far as I know, that they use is PayPal, because they based it off of Second Life. The people who do the payment transfers for Second Life is the same people that are doing the payment transfers for Upland. So anyways, I guess what I'm trying to say is I like the fact that I can own NFTs that actually have a quote unquote real world value. I've spent about $500 US on the game, and I've made about twice that in playing it. And I still own property within the game. So it's a slow game. You can make it a faster game if you just continuously turn property over, but I've just made it a slow game because I'm waiting for the values to increase over time, and rather just play the long game instead of a short game. So there are some people who are worth millions and millions of dollars. It still blows my mind when I see people who have billions of UPIX or millions of dollars in the game. It's like, wow, you really spent a lot.
So Upland's been around for quite a while in comparison to other platforms out there. Do you think it's gonna be sticking around? And the reason I say that because there's other projects like um, Steppen. Steppen was one of those projects that came out last year that everybody got into. Everybody wanted to use the app. They wanted to go for a jog, for a run, for a walk around their neighborhood for a couple miles here and there and earn some Steppen coins. And they were earning money for that. That was great that they can earn tokens to stay healthy and then exchange that. But there was, of course, that whole you have to buy sneakers and then you got to repair your sneakers and then you got to upgrade your sneakers if you want to earn more coins. Is Upland heading towards that where you got to upgrade your land in order to be paid more or to be incentivized more or to have a better chance of people landing on your property? Or do they already have a good a gamified theory of what they're trying to do for their community?
I think that Steppen is still pretty new and hasn't really come into its own completely yet. And so it still has room to grow and become better and to improve so that it doesn't feel like you're doing things just to support the network. Whereas Upland's been around for quite some time, several years now. And I haven't seen, let's see, I think there's a total of 15 or 18 different regions that you can buy in Upland. There are goals. There are things they call achievements where you can actually improve your performance in the game. But the problem with those is you never really know what those are going to be until after they name them. So I grew up in Bakersfield, and Bakersfield was actually the first city on the map I got into when I got into Upland in December of last year. And so I knew the places that were popular. I'd lived in the town for 15 years. And so when I bought property in places I knew was going to be valuable later, when they announced what the achievements were going to be, I already had properties in those areas. And there are a couple of people in the game that will come in and buy those properties from you for ridiculously high prices. Now, I didn't get into the property I wanted, but I did at least get one property, and I haven't sold. I have no intention of selling because I know it is so valuable in the game. But those are the kinds of examples that you can use in the game. So yeah, it's a game based on reality in a sense. There are certain properties in certain places that just have greater value because of where they are and what they are. And if you can get those properties in the game, they have more value in the game. And you can, assuming you want to, sell them for a great deal more than you pay for it. Anything in the Manhattan area of the New York part of the game, I couldn't find a single property that was going for less than $250,000 UPIX, which is $250.
Wow.
And the same thing goes for San Francisco. Because I love San Francisco so much, and there are certain parts of San Francisco I really like, in particular in what's the name of that district? Oh God, it's slipping my mind right now. I've been there so many times. The back area, 19th Junipero area on the back end behind the Twin. What is it called? It's slipping my mind. Anyways, it's not downtown, but it's the southwest corner of San Francisco. Anyways, in that area, there's a really, really nice area of homes that I used to walk around when I was up there all the time. And one of the houses was for sale for about 50,000 UPIX. So I actually paid the 50,000 UPIX and repriced it if someone wanted to buy it from me, which I really don't want to sell it, for 500,000 or $500. I don't think anyone's going to buy it, but the average price of properties in all of San Francisco now, I think, is above 100,000 UPIX. So over time, it's just gone up and up and up, and that's not that surprising. It is a speculative game, just like real property, in real life property. So I like it because it allows me to own property that I would probably never own in real life.
This sort of reminds me of somebody over in Ravencoin was building this I forgot what it was. It was a while ago. They're building like this wall. It's like NFT wall where you can do I think it was advertisements, and you can buy a couple bricks or brick. Maybe somebody out here that's part of the Ravencoin community can elaborate on that because I kind of forgot what that was about, but it was pretty much you buy a brick and that's you can pretty much exchange for advertisements on on a Ravencoin wall, if I'm not mistaken, which kind of directs your advertisements to a website or to your website. Just pretty much free advertisements on Web3. Quothing, what's up, man?
Yo, were you talking about Mission District, Jake?
No, actually, I just finally, it's called West Portal. In the late '90s, right after I moved to the Bay, I spent a lot of time in West Portal and Balboa Terrace, Monterey Heights, Saintwood Terrace, Sherwood Forest, all this stuff that's right behind, like right near Mount Davidson, um, off of what is it? 19th Street, isn't it? Yeah, 19th Avenue. 19th Avenue is the road that goes up from 280 and all the way up to the Golden Gate Bridge. And so it's like that. It's right near Lake Merced at the back of San Francisco toward Daly City. So, yeah, I spent a lot of time in West Portal. So,
I got some FUD.
oh yeah,
Yeah. I mean, do you really think that 3AC was the last one to go under?
oh Voyager,
I
Voyager is
mean,
going under too.
the contagion that like literally has to be tied to that is, I don't know how solvable that is with a few of these companies. I don't think it's good.
Right. One major company goes down that's holding a lot of the cost or a lot of the value, then other companies are going to go down. But yeah, we already knew Voyager Digital was going down because they owed so much money. So when their main source went away, they lost everything that they thought they had. But you're right, maybe other companies are going away too. I mean, if Celsius is trying to reorganize, who else depends on Celsius? I don't know. Nobody major we've seen in the news.
It's crazy because I just remember my boss trying to like pitch digital to me, or Voyager. It was like,
Yep.
you gotta do this. Can you get up to a 10% yield on your dot and this and that. And I was like, yeah, but how do you think that yield works?
Yeah.
Like, what? That doesn't make sense. I guess I've always been skeptical of the DeFi space, and that just was like the most glaring example of any version of that.
Yeah, I agree with that because it does feel very Ponzi-ish. You're like, well, the only way they're going to get more money is by more people coming into the system. Yeah, that's exactly how the Ponzi scheme works. Eventually, you run out of money because the pyramid gets bigger than the total population of the Earth, or all the money that's available. But yeah, I too was somewhat skeptical of these processes in the beginning. But I will say that I haven't spent, well, one thing that John and I say constantly, and I've always said on my show, was never spend more than you're willing to lose. And I think that's exactly what happened to Celsius and exactly what happened to Voyager and to Three Arrows Capital. They got in, they're like, we'll never lose. Everything's great forever. It seemed like it was going that way. But
The worst part
can't.
is they did it with everybody else's money, not even with their own.
Well, I mean, that's the best way to do it, right? If you're going to spend money, spend other people's money if you can. That's what what's his name? Robert Kiyosaki says that all the time in his lectures. So yeah, if you're going to spend money, spend on someone else's. And I mean, if you're going to do it for a short period of time, great. Then you can give their money back to them and keep the interest that you made. And hopefully then you can go spend it on your own adventures and maybe someone else will spend your money for you.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's how greed works, you know?
Well, I mean, all right, I'll put it this way. People with a lot of money, and I mean, let's say Mark Cuban example, money, like billions, like let's say just $1 billion. $1 billion does nothing. In fact, I don't know if you guys know this, since I'm guessing nobody here has had $10 million in their name. I haven't either, but I've at least talked to people who have. If you try to put more than $10 million in any bank, they won't let you do it. Partly it's because FDIC only covers you to $250,000, but it's also because they don't want you to just put it in the bank. Money needs to do something. Money is a tool, not just something to put in a giant vault and swim through like Scrooge McDuck. It's a functional thing. And if you're not doing something with that money, then it's a waste. It's useless. and it
Well,
actually doesn't actually hold the value that the dollar bills say it has.
in
So,
fact, there are some banks out there that if you leave that amount of money in there, you're going to be fined.
yeah, they'll fine you, right? And they'll fine you a large amount. It's not like 2%. They'll fine you 12% or 15%. If you just leave $10 million sitting in a bank, they will start fining you on it because they know you can make way more money investing it. And it's unfair to just leave money sit. So, I mean, we talk about the pirate methodology of putting jewels in a pirate chest and burying it in the ground. That's the dumbest thing you could do.
And under my mattress.
Yeah, right. It's not intelligent. Now, if you're talking about $20 or $100, fine. But that's, you know, if you've got even $1 million, you should be doing something. In fact, I think my mother was saying that just recently family events have occurred so that some of my elders have passed away and they've sold the houses, and I know for a fact that you can make a minimum in this current market, not maybe on crypto, but at least on fiat, of about 5%, 5 to 5.5% on almost any basic investment on $1 million. 5% on $1 million is enough to live on. In fact, that was the concept. They said if you've been working for 40 years from like 1940 until 1980, and then you retired, and you had $1 million from having worked that amount of time saved up, you could live off the interest, the monthly interest, easily. I believe 5% interest on $1 million right now is $4,100 a month in interest. So even if you just took the $4,100 every month out, and the million never changed, you get $4,100. Most people even now could live on $4,100. Most people, unless you live in the Bay Area, I guess. But you have to invest it. Is really the point. And go ahead. Sorry.
I wanted to head back to that whole 3 hours capital and pretty much bankrupting. Well, I guess they were the first domino to try to pretty much go down, and took down a bunch of other centralized exchanges out there. One of them being Voyager, Celsius. Another one was correct me if I'm wrong, but BlockFi was one of them, right?
BlockFi?
Yeah, BlockFi.
That BlockFi was purchased by somebody.
So that's what I was going to get at right now. So FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, you remember that he pitched a deal. I think it was 240 billion. I think it was 240 billion, if I'm not mistaken, to buy FTX, or million. Was it million or billion?
It's probably a million. 240 million sounds more realistic. 240 billion is more than the price of Sprint
million
from T-Mobile. So
million. So that's what he's trying to buy it for. But wasn't there some revelation that Sam Bankman-Fried is also underwater with FTX?
That might be the case. I don't know if we reported on it or if anyone's admitted to it, but yeah, I was looking at news just now that said FTX had signed a deal giving it the option to buy BlockFi for $240 million.
Yeah, because BlockFi was one of those ones that got stuck in that whole domino
right.
effect.
Right. So yeah, that a lot of people have fallen 3 hours capital's blunders, as well as Terra blunder.
Yeah, I think that it started off with Terra, right? Terra was like the first tipping point, then pretty much took down everything else. A lot of people went to Terra.
To quote things point from earlier, that you can't just keep building interest on nothing. I started Jabrelli, the YouTube channel, original YouTube channel, based on reviewing high yield investment programs, or HYIPs, because in particular, the one I was thinking of was Fundamental Global, which has started in South Africa, was offering, I think, 1.2% AP, or not APR, but I mean, basically 1.2% per day, not annually, but daily, 1.2%. And I was like, this is unsustainable. There's no way this can continue. And I made 3 different videos on it back in May of 2020, and over that time, from May of 2020 until July, and then later that year, I believe it actually was at the end of 2020. Or was it 20? No, it was into 2021. At the end of the year, Fundamental Global collapsed because their lender was indicted for embezzling and Ponzi scheme. and people were like, "Oh, you were right. Oh, wow, we're so sorry." And it's like, duh. It was on the written on the wall. This is unsustainable. You can't keep doing this ridiculously high interest rate without some kind of consequence. As much as it sounds great, it's either illegal or it's a Ponzi scheme, which is illegal. So I tested a whole bunch of different high yield investment programs and put a tiny amount of money, like $5 or $10 into each one of them, to see how quickly I could double my money. And in most of the cases, if I even got my money back, they almost all fizzled out within 1 to 2 months. They're rug pull, or they're like, sorry, somebody stole our money, and then they disappeared.
Yep, been there too, man. Been around the block on that.
So I will say Final Monte Global was the longest lasting program. It lasted from February till December of the same year. That is a ridiculously long time for a Ponzi scheme to exist. Because, like I said, they don't, with the exception of Bernie Madoff's Ponzi scheme, which lasted like 6 years. The majority of Ponzi schemes don't last very long. Like I said, 1 to 2 months. When they're offering more than 1% per day, they're not going to be around for more than a month because they're a lie.
How about
Now,
the one
the
that I
thing-
just posted up at the top there?
Ripple confirms former co-founder Jed McCaleb emptied his wallet after selling his final 1.1 million XRP, $390,000.
Yeah, well, I don't think I ever thought Ripple was a Ponzi scheme per se, because if it was, it lasted an awfully long time. But yeah, I guess it's not surprising when you see the writing on the wall. I remember when I was working for a tech company back in the mid 2000s. One of my friends came to me and told me that it was time to sell my shares, and I was like, "Well, I don't have that many shares." He's like, "Oh, you should sell now." I was like, "Why?" He said, "I heard that one of the top execs in the company is leaving soon." I was like, "Yeah, what does that mean?" He's like, "Well, if he's leaving, he's probably going to cash all his shares out." I was like, "Okay, and what does that mean?" Because I had no idea what stock was back then. He's like, "Well, let me put it this way: the guy owns 18 million shares in the company." I was like, "Oh, that's a lot of shares." He's like, "Yeah, and he's probably going to cash out a good chunk of them." I said, "Okay, so if he does, what happens?" And my friend said, "The stock price will drop." And I was like, "Okay, how do you know this?" And he's like, "I've seen it before." So I didn't sell all my shares. I sold like maybe 100 of them. And yeah, true to his word, the guy left the company, and basically the same day he announced his leaving, in that morning, he sold a third of his 18 million, so like 6 million shares, and the price dropped like $25 in that day.
Is it because he dumped a bunch of stocks in the market?
Yeah, he dumped a bunch of stocks in the market, right?
Yeah. So that's pretty much the same fear that I have in regards to. Well, I shouldn't really call it a fear, but it's only a fear where things get too out of control and too chaotic for the crypto market when you have this current collapse that we're dealing with in regards to these centralized exchanges and these DeFi platforms all collapsing, and these so-called algo stables pretty much becoming unstable. That's all collapsing. But having big celebrities, big nations dumping all the coins, making Bitcoin illegal or crypto illegal, i.e., Russia, and these miners dumping their coins on the market, which is going to be, it's due soon. These guys are already talking about it. They're getting ready to dump it, and that's my fear. I don't know if they're going to just do it all at once or they're going to just do it just OTC and not really hurt the market. We'll see what happens. This is kind of what we're sitting on. So that's why I'm calling this a false positive pump. Because if it goes up and the miners look at this, I'm like, you know what, this is a pretty good time to sell. They dump all their coins on the market and it shuts back down under 20K, 17, 15K, whatever it is. But that's where I stand on that.
To address the earlier point, not to like bandwagon, not to like steal the mic on this, but it's like a lot of these things where these founders, co-founders got like a cut of their own coin and did literally nothing for it. Like those are the things that you should be really afraid of in times like this, where it's owned by a large portion, or a small group of guys own so much of it. That to me is like, I don't know.
If they're still invested in the project, you're right. If it's a bear market and they see the bottom coming, then yes, I'd be scared. But like myself, in being so heavily invested in Dynamo, I've no intention of leaving. In fact, even with coins that haven't done well, like my swamp coin, got like I don't remember, it was like 700,000 swamp coin or some ridiculously high number that I still have sitting because it has no value, and so it sucks that you can't get out. But I guess maybe it's my altruism showing that I don't want to give up. I just don't want to give up. So,
Quoting, let me get your stance on this in regards to what you talked about. When they say, for example, developers or just early investors into a project, a lot of these startups, a lot of these ICOs, they traditionally have like a locked contract saying they can't withdraw for, i.e., 18 months, right? If you're a developer, you're working on this project, you're going to devote yourself for at least 18 months to this project before funds can be released. Say those 18 months are up. Are you okay with them dumping all these coins on the market and then having them just abandon the project? Pretty much they've done what they've done, and if they couldn't complete everything that they could, or they done the best that they could, and it still was not the best that's good for the ecosystem, it is what it is. This is the end result, and they take their coins. Are they a free man or a free woman to do whatever they want with their coins, or are you still against that whole idea of having them own 2 to 10% of coins in circulation?
I mean, it's tough to say. Like, I'm not a fan of it, like in general, just because it compromises a project in times exactly like this. And it's weird because it's unique in a sense because of the way that the economy is sitting in itself, right? Like everyone's cost of living is going up. Well, you have some assets sitting aside, and you don't feel like it's going to get better in the 6 months to 1 year term. Well, your lifestyle is still your lifestyle, and what do you have
Right.
to pull from? Well, the shit that you got for free that you can now just shell off.
Well, would you say it's free, or is it more like an incentive for a true pure-blooded developer to come in and create an awesome project, which they do everything that they can for this project for every single day for 18 months, and at the end, when they finally have their funds unlocked, it happens to be the bear market, and guess what? They still have a family to feed. They still have rent to pay. They still have to be able to live a lifestyle, right? Like you said. So at what point do they take the coins and say, you know what, I'm going to push these onto the market, and then just move on to another project?
I guess I'd like a dev fee more than I'd like a lump sum for a dev in that sense. You know what I mean?
or maybe another way to look at it. And this is one thing we haven't really seen happen in the. I mean, they're trying to push crypto more to be like traditional stocks, right? This is the ETFs and different aspects that people are trying to get into. I think it would be appropriate to give people options to buy and or sell, and that way you don't feel like it's crashing the market. But if anybody traded their options for stock, or in this case coin, then it could still crash the market, but it still puts a limiter on that. So it's like options are divvied out over time, and you can't sell them all at once, but you could store them and sell them all at once. But you'd hope that that would be done at an appropriate time, and not just when the system is crashing or the whole market's crashing. But I mean, hey, if people need the money, or who are we to say that they should or shouldn't be involved? Not all companies survive, so not all coins survive. We want them to. People who are invested, of course, want them to. But
Right.
who are we to say?
And that's what I'm trying to get at is like put yourself in the developer's shoes, and you're seeing that the project that you worked so hard at building up, and you're pretty much spearheading the project as a lead developer, and at the end you've done everything that you can, and now that you have the opportunity to either just take your coins, walk away, dump them onto the market, and then move on to another project that is more worthy of your time and your skills.
There might be another solution to what you're talking about, John. Assuming, let's assume, since there's no way of knowing exactly what happened, let's say the foundation will take those coins off that person's hand and say, well, to keep the coins from going into the market, we'll just buy them directly from you, and we'll give you cash for them, and then the coins won't flood the market. Like just trade them out. That's one way you could do from preventing a drastic market crash in the value of a coin. I don't know if it's allowed or it's even legal. I mean, we're talking about crypto and not stock. But I mean, if you're trading on the open market instead of just trading directly to another individual, it's basically like saying, all right, these coins are owned, or this stock is owned by this person. Now it's owned by this person, but we're not going through the market. Now, maybe that's illegal. I don't know. Never tried doing it.
And I
Maybe
think
it can work with coin. Maybe it can't. But if we didn't want the market to crash, it might be a way of preventing it from crashing. Like
right.
the foundation will just take over your coins, and then they'll still be owned by someone. They won't be sold. They'll be sold off the market.
I think that's what Celsius was doing. They were buying pretty much anybody that was on their team that was earning Celsius coin. And if they were deciding whether to sell it on the market, they would buy it from them, because Celsius had this whole thing where they were paying out interest to those that were utilizing their platform and earning Cell token. Well, they didn't actually buy pre-circular. How should I say it? They didn't take tokens from their reserves and put it on and pay people out with those. They actually bought directly from the market. So if somebody from their team decided that they want to sell a percentage of the portfolio of Celsius coin on the market, well, the Celsius Foundation would just buy it directly first. And then, because they have to use it anyways, either they're going to buy on the open market or they're going to buy from their team. They'll just buy from their team and just recirculate back into the economy.
Yeah, I think that might be one way of avoiding what you're asking about, John, in that avoiding a crash of that particular market is to just have the foundation buy them directly and not even have them go onto the market. Like I said, I don't know if that's illegal or not, but like I said, crypto is a new thing. It may not have the same rules set up yet. I think that might be illegal when it comes to stocks, but maybe not. I don't know how. Like I said, you can. When the example I keep thinking of is, I worked for a company that got kicked off the stock market in 2008 when this huge backdating scandal came out. And during that time, when that company was off the market, we couldn't buy or sell anything. The stock was removed from the market. So the company said, look, if you had stock, X number of stock, the company itself will buy the stock from you directly and give you whatever the value was at the time that we were kicked off the market. If the company gets back on the market in the next year, we'll just absorb the shock of whatever the value was different. So I think it can technically work that a company itself could buy, or the foundation itself could buy from a user and keep the price from falling. Like I said, that was a different situation because technically the company wasn't on the public market; it was a private company at that point. So, not sure whether it'd be possible to do at all, but it would be a way of avoiding the free fall of price of a coin, I think.
So at this point, where does the market stand? Is Quothing, you've been around for a minute, man. What's going on with crypto in your eyes, man? Like, where's it going? Who's our savior? Satoshi coming back? Is CZ going to be our savior? Is he the new Satoshi? I'm trying to find out where this is all going, because right now I don't really see light at the end of the tunnel, to be honest. I just kind of see everybody running for the hills and just trying to find out who's going to survive. That's where everybody's in survival mode right now. Even though the market's in the green right now, but like I mentioned at the beginning of this space, it's a false positive in my eyes. So I don't really see people feeling confident about this whole pump. So people are still scared, trying to figure out what the hell is going on tomorrow. So what is going on? I don't know. That's all I want to ask you guys. Where do you guys see this going?
It sounds like Quothing doesn't have an answer. I think you know my stance. I don't know if anyone else wants to chime in, but I'm always bullish on projects that are functional. I've never been a big Ether holder. If ETH goes back to 4,800 or if it goes to 10,000, I don't think I'll own much of it. I just don't like the project. Same thing with Bitcoin. I don't own a whole lot of it. Maybe $100 worth, if that. I'm just not a maximalist when it comes to Bitcoin. For me, it's functionality. Functionality is far more important to the crypto market than anything that would be just value-based, just dollar-based. Like I don't care about the price of Ether. I don't care about the price of Bitcoin. I care about what does it do for me. And the reason I don't like Ethereum is because its cost to operate is too high. Even it might be popular, but it's just too expensive to do anything with, unless you're already a multimillionaire.
Right.
So I know. I guess as a miner, and maybe Xander can understand the same perspective. If you're a miner, or maybe I don't know if Korthig is a miner too, but anybody who's a miner probably doesn't see it the same way as a person who's just doing speculative buying.
What do you mean?
Purely speculative. If you're, as in the sense of you're just putting money in, you're not doing any mining whatsoever. That you might feel the pinch harder, since if you put money in at the top and now it's the bottom, you're going, well, why did I do that? Or maybe you put it in early and lost your keys, or maybe you put it in early, you spent some of it, got some money out, but don't have anything to show for it now. There's so many different situations that can be the case.
Look at that. Jake is over here just talking about me, man. Come on, man.
Hey,
what's up,
well,
what's up, Xander?
Not much. Just listening in, seeing what's up.
Welcome. How's your farm going, man? Good.
Oh, shut down now.
What?
Yeah, it's too.
It's too hot, man.
It's
110
too hot.
degrees.
Yeah,
you guys are out there in PG&E territory, aren't you?
SCE.
Oh, it's SE. Okay.
Yeah.
But now that we finally have you on the space, dude, I want you to just plug in renewal blocks, man. I've been wanting to talk to you a minute about that.
Yeah, definitely. We're working on some projects out in England, and we're getting ready. Our CEO, Callum Wheeler, has actually been going to a lot of events in Europe, a lot of conventions. He was in Dublin just recently to a crypto convention there. I'll be in Santa Clara. Santa Clara this October, and I'll be speaking there. At It's like a renewable energy Bitcoin mining topic segment of the convention, and I'll be a speaker there. I'll be speaking after one of the large card holders. I can't remember if it was MasterCard or Visa. They're going to be doing theirs, and then I'm going to be right after, and I get like 10 minutes, and I get to talk to everybody in the audience, the crowd, wherever it's at. So,
all the millionaires, bro. All the millionaires
that's
watching
right.
you, man.
All
You'll be in Santa Clara, then John can come to the convention, right? Right, John?
All the
It's right in my neighborhood.
whales.
Yep.
I'm gonna be talking to all the whales about renewable energy mining, putting renewable
Well,
blocks on the
talk
map.
about it. Like, talk about what renewal blocks is. For the people that are listening, what is renewal blocks?
Well, we are a renewable energy Bitcoin mining company, specializing in renewable, 100% renewable energy. So pretty much like off grid, in a sense, to where we utilize anaerobic digestion, which is like farm product manure and other like dead plants and stuff like that. We utilize anaerobic digestion to power generators from the methane that is created inside of an anaerobic digestion tank, and those generators will power the mining farm, and in turn the mining farm, the heat that it's coming from the mining farm, is utilized to dry the farm products prior to having them load into the anaerobic digestion tank. So technically what we're doing is like a circle of energy. The energy is just being recycled over and over again. So we're not having to use power from the grid. I mean, in that sense. So it's really we're first movers in that industry as far as utilizing anaerobic digestion for Bitcoin mining, and we're really excited to bring about projects. I mean, not just in the UK, but in other parts of the world. So we'd be also utilizing solar energy, so that would just assist the anaerobic digestion. So it'd be like having both. So it just increases the capacity for the mining farm. We'd also be we're also an SEC regulated security token that we have on Ravencoin. We have one of those. So we have, everybody has to be KYC'd and things like that, because we're not doing that ICO thing from like 2017 that everybody knows about. We're not doing something like that. Ours is legit. You gotta, before you invest, you gotta be KYC'd and all that stuff. So we're doing it by the book, regulations, following US regulations, and yeah, it's a great project. Jake Menard, another member of the community, is also part of it. He's the chief financial officer. He's very, very talented, very knowledgeable. I'm sure you guys have heard him in spaces and things like that. He's a good resource, and feel free to reach out to him or Callum Wheeler or myself if you want, for more info on Renewablox.
Awesome, dude. Thank you. Did you get that information that I sent you? Just coincidentally, I was at a meetup, and one of the guys I was talking to happens to create renewable energy. So I sent you a screenshot of his business card, man. If you haven't reached out to him, you should just have a discussion with him, see what he's all about.
Yeah,
maybe,
I got you.
Maybe it might be
I did get it. Yeah, I got your card. I got the picture of the card, so I'll get in contact with him and seeing what he's all about.
Would you have
that?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, why not? That's what the whole meetup's about, right? You meet people. It's like, hey, you know what? It's not my thing, but I know somebody that is interested in this. Can I get your card? He gave me his card, and now you have it. So there you go. That's what it's about, man. I'm kind of curious. Do you happen to know if Renewablox has looked into, let's see if I can say this right, renewable energy to produce hydrogen fuel?
No, we haven't looked at anything like that yet. I mean, we've heard of it. We've heard of that technology, but our company Renewablox is not involved in that yet, at least. I mean, we're not. That's not our focus right now. We're focusing on the anaerobic digestion and solar for the Bitcoin mining.
That's just another thing. I was reading a science paper, and it was in regards to renewable energy. And whenever I see something like that, it just reminds me of you. So I'm like, okay, maybe this might be something of interest to you. That's why I'm asking if you guys have looked into renewable energy to produce hydrogen fuel.
Yeah, we've heard of it. We've heard about it and stuff like that. So, yeah, I appreciate you letting me know.
Awesome. Well, so where are we at, Xander? FUD or FOMO?
FUD or FOMO? FOMO. Well, I can tell you, BNB. That's going to be the coin for this next bull run. It's going to surprise people.
Really? What do you see?
I think so. I mean, I think. I don't know if you've noticed. Their leader, their CZ, has been doing a lot of traveling, meeting with heads of state from various countries all over the world, pushing Binance, everywhere. So I think as far as crypto adoption is concerned, I think they're gonna see Binance, at least maybe not. I don't know about the U.S., but I mean outside of the U.S., they're gonna see Binance as, oh, if you want to do crypto, just use Binance. Like, they're not gonna hear about all these other exchanges. Like, he's doing a great job on just marketing his company, marketing Binance all over the world.
Oh, absolutely.
And
you're right about that.
Yeah, and then I got some, FOMO too, or I don't know if it's FOMO, but Yeah, I was just reading like earlier about John McAfee. He was indicted for like pump and dumps and stuff, and like ICO scams and all kinds of things like that.
Yeah, that was his partner. His partner.
Yeah, Jimmy Watson.
Yeah, we read that article yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting topic there too. And then I was like, I'm looking at one XMR. Yeah, you guys already went over Voyager and stuff like that, like Voyager and Celsius. I mean, the Three Arrows Capital deal. I mean, they were all borrowing money from each other. That's why they're all falling apart.
Yeah, but guess what? Guess who wasn't in that game? CZ.
Oh well, because that's what I'm saying, man.
Yep. And that's why Binance is on the top. They're not filing Chapter 11, man. They're hiring. How many more jobs, Jake? They're hiring like 200 new employees.
Well, at least I thought it was 2,000, but yeah, they're hiring gangbusters. They're like, yeah, we see that even what's it called? Coinbase was letting go of people. And we just today another company let go of a bunch of people. So all these different companies that were trusting in Three Arrows Capital are just like, well, Three Arrows Capital, they were on for 10 years. There's no way they can fail. Like, well, if you make dumb decisions.
So while all these other companies are letting employees go and are freezing their hiring process, Binance is over here trying to hire 2,000 new employees as soon as possible because they're growing so rapid, and because they didn't get stuck in that whole scandal. So yeah, man, I like Binance. I still use it.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, another thing too. Now that I got you here, on AM Daily Crypto now, I'll be doing like videos for like not just mining, but like market stuff, trading, like stuff like that, like the trade doing. I'd pretty much be doing like showing my trades. That makes
It makes sense.
just like the traders,
Yep.
I'm gonna put some money there and just but at the same time I'll be like giving my TA what I believe is going to happen. Of course, none of it's going to be financial advice and etc. But it's good just to hear, just to see.
I think it's a key. I tried making a video about this, Xander, a while back. Although it's a gray space, it's not explicit. What's it called? A financial advice is only given to a person with whom you are actually giving money. If someone was giving you money and you were giving them financial advice, that's financial advice. Anytime you give free financial advice over the internet, that's not financial advice. So you don't have to say not financial advice, because it isn't.
Well, you know how everybody.
No, I know. Everyone does the disclaimer.
Crazy. They get all crazy and stuff about it. Oh,
but no one's giving you money, because no one's actually giving you money to it. Now, if you were doing something like on BitMEX where you say, hey, sign up for a BitMEX account and I'll give you my TA, that would be financial advice. And if they're not paying you, they're just watching your channel, they're not actually paying you directly, none of it's financial advice. So you don't have to go do the disclaimer, because no one's going to sue you over it, because they can't. So you don't have to worry about giving that disclaimer for your stuff unless somebody is literally, physically, directly paying you for that advice. This is what I learned when I actually tried taking the classes for becoming a financial advisor. So. Oh,
really? Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So don't worry about it. We stopped doing it on our show when we were talking about any advice we were giving. It's because no one's paying us for it. I mean, people are indirectly paying us by watching the show and us getting money through different people who might be clicking on ads, but no one's paying us directly for the advice. So because of that, it's not financial advice.
Very interesting.
Just then Xander, that's not financial advice.
Yeah. This is advice to you that's not financial explicit advice. It is advice. Basically, I learned that it's understood that what you're saying to people is your speculative concept, and that no one's paying you for it. So in the official capacity of the way that financial advisors work, they're literally being paid by their client directly for their explicit financial advice. Like, I am telling you, put your money in blah, 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 and then you pay me, or you've already paid me. That's financial advice. But any of this stuff that's on YouTube or through some kind of podcast, it's not financial advice because no one's paying you for it. So don't have to worry about it.
Very interesting. Appreciate that, Kimberly.
Yep.
But yeah, that's pretty much what I'll be doing. I'll be doing, trying to be more active in the AM Daily Crypto. I've been kind of MIA since the beginning because I've been just focusing on mining and stuff like that. Now with the farm, hibernating, now I got more time to devote somewhere else.
How long are you gonna let it down?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, until it's profitable again, right?
Well, not just profitable, but I gotta repaste all the cards, clean them all up again because they're really dirty. So I gotta do the preventative maintenance on each individual card. So
how many? I mean, do you have 100 cards or?
No, I got like 20, 30 something.
Okay.
30 something.
Yeah, that's not too many.
But
I've got over 100 cards, so.
Yeah, I got the kids running around trying to grab stuff. And, it's hard.
Yeah,
especially when you have the farm here at home.
JC, welcome, JC.
Hey guys, thank you. How you guys doing?
All good, man. What's up?
I have a question for Xander. So, Xander, you say you're not mining because it's too hot. Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's too hot. And then the profitability is not there either. So I mean, and right now I'm trying to just tally up the solar credits from the solar system for my house because I'm running the ACs like all day, all night. So it's the kids, TVs, and all this is using up all kinds of power. So and because I'm sharing my home with the farm, I gotta, I can't stretch out both of them. I can't be doing both too much right now. I'm kind of limited in that respect.
So, do you think there's a lot of miners on the same boat?
A lot of smaller miners, yeah, I think so. I mean, probably more than they want to admit. I mean, especially people that, more people that mine at home or have small sheds like I do.
It's ridiculous. Even what's his name, Son of a Tech, shut his entire farm down, and he had over 100 cards. So, there are plenty of. I think Red Panda Mining shut a lot of his stuff down.
DJ Mines did too.
Yeah, well, a lot of people shut down. Now I haven't because I'm playing flat fee, but I've even considered the possibility. I've even talked to several different miners, saying, "Hey, if you guys want, I can host your stuff at my shop for a flat rate." But no one's decided to send me their cards yet.
Wow, that's incredible. So I had another question. This is really basic stuff that I don't know anything about. But I was thinking about the other day. I was thinking if you could correlate market cap to number of nodes, because nodes secure the network, right? And if you did dollars per number of node, wouldn't it follow that the lower the dollar market cap per node, the better?
I don't want to leave any dead air, but you're saying less nodes or lower market cap per node in general? Yeah. So basically, the more nodes we have means the lower the market cap per node. So you're saying we should have more nodes or less nodes?
I'm saying that lower market cap per node would be better. Lower market cap, higher number of nodes would be better, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I would say it's true just across the board that we always want to have more nodes, but the problem with having more nodes is each node is worth less.
Here's where I'm struggling. If it were true that a metric like that could be used, and you did the math to compare Bitcoin and Ravencoin, then Ravencoin has a lower market cap per node. Is that a positive?
I guess it depends on what you're comparing it to. I mean, what's the benefit? What is the benefit you're seeking by having a lower market cap per node?
Well, we're saying that if the price of the coin is too high, relative to the number of nodes, in a way is more susceptible to attack, because no, maybe it's the opposite, right? If the price of the coin is too high,
You're
it's a
talking
good
like a
thing, right?
51% attack. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I'm totally lost on this one.
But but we're talking about nodes of Ravencoin and Bitcoin. You can't. I mean, regardless of whether the market cap's too high, you still have to be able to buy out that space in order to control it. I mean, are you just saying that across the board, if it's lower per node, then, or rather, if it's higher per node, then those ones are more likely to try a 51% attack?
All right. So I think what you guys just said kind of made sense to me. So then, let me see if I can wrap this up. If the price of the coin is too high, you need a lot of money to do a 51% attack, correct?
Yes.
To be true across the board, yes.
So then generally, the
But
higher
it has
the
to be
market
the hash
cap,
power.
the higher the dollar
the
market
hash
cap
power.
per nodes is better, right? For the purposes of preventing attacks.
I guess, but I mean, put it this way: the ease of which it is to buy out a node when you're talking about proof of stake is just putting up the money. The ease of buying out a node when you're talking about proof of work, which is Raven and Bitcoin, is not easy, because it's a very different transaction. People are just like, oh no, I have, let's say, 50 or 100 nodes or 1,000 nodes. I'm just going to give them to you. No, they're physically in a physical location. I guess you could technically sell them, but you're still operating that plant, that location. The proof of stake nodes versus the proof of work nodes is very different. You can't just trade them like, all right, we're selling all our nodes, here you go. I'm guessing it's possible, but it's unlikely to happen. And it's also because people can set up nodes literally anywhere. You could set up a node with one card. Right. You could probably still do a 51% attack, even if there were 100,000 people with just one card. If there were 200,000 somewhere else that was owned by one person, it might be possible for them to trade them all off. But the transaction is more of a real world transaction, real life transaction, not just I'm going to now buy all these coins and no one can tell me I can't. The transaction just takes too much extra time, extra work for a person to really take over a 51% attack. China had the possibility of doing it when they were talking about Bitcoin, when it was still legal there, but it wasn't any one company that owned even close to 51% of all Bitcoin. More than 51% of all Bitcoin was actually being produced in China, but far from that many times, unless the entire CCP had just said, all right, we're taking over all Bitcoin, we're going to do 51% attack because we have 71% of all the coins. They didn't control them all. They just have to be in the country. So I don't know if it's legitimately possible for anyone to just pull off a 51 or 50% attack on proof of work coins unless they could literally go to each individual one of those major producers and say, we'll buy all your stuff so we can fuck up the network.
So, but isn't it true though that let's just say that if Bitcoin was $1, it'd be easier to attack it than being it 800 billion or whatever it is, 400 billion?
Yeah, probably would be. But at the moment, because proof of work is everywhere, it would be less likely, just because it's difficult to go to all those different people and ask them the same question.
Got it.
So
Okay.
when it's proof of work, or when it's proof of stake, it's easier because you don't actually have to talk to people. You just have to go buy the coin, and then you can just own as many nodes as you want. There's almost no setup time at all. But when you talk about proof of work, you have to go to each individual group of people and talk to them individually and say, can I buy your machines? And then you'd have to be able to know how they work, in order to make that attack possible.
And speaking of proof of stake, is it still, according to the news, is it still correct that Ethereum's still going to proof of stake in September?
As of my last hearing, I think we did the news about this Sunday night, rather. They finished their testing. They know it works. So as far as I know, they're still on track for September. But the only reason I believe that it's going to continue on is because they've actually done the testing now and are making it official. But the last time I remember when I got into Ethereum, GPU mining Ethereum in June of 2020, they were talking about the end of 2020 being the turnover time, and it's been a year and a half since then, and we're still not there yet. So am I slightly skeptical? Maybe 20% skeptical, but 80% sure they're going to move. And that's the reason I think the price has been changing. Steve became stable for a short period of time. People could start selling again. The price went up again. People were buying. I think people are pretty sure it's going to happen. The thing I'm most worried about is where are all the cards? For one sake, like Xander had mentioned earlier, he turned all his miners off. A lot of people have turned their miners off. The network hash rate is counting down pretty drastically on Ethereum. But the thing that is noticeable is like, what was it called? Forest Miner and Jazz Miner was the other one that's both doing ETH. They can just easily transition over to ETH Classic if they need to for all their ASICs. It's just going to mean that the amount of network hash for ETH Classic is going to skyrocket as soon as ETH normal goes offline. But at least a lot of ASIC miners will disappear. I am really curious to see how much of the ETH network is actually ASIC miners.
So are we still thinking that this switch to proof of stake is going to be a positive for Ravencoin?
Wait, I'm sorry. Proof of stake is Ravencoin's going to proof of stake. How do I not know this?
No. Are we still thinking that Ethereum going to proof of stake is going to be good for Ravencoin?
I don't think I ever even thought of that. Someone else is going to have to comment on that. I don't have any opinion.
Well, for as far as mining, I mean, you'll probably see a portion of the GPU miners go over to Ravencoin, and you'll also see them go to Flux and Ergo. I mean, Ethereum Classic probably not as far as GPUs, because like Jabarelli was saying, more than likely all the ASICs are going to just do their firmware patch update and just start hashing on ETC hash on their ASICs right after the the move to proof of stake for Ethereum. So ETC is not going to be a home for the GPUs, I think, because the ASICs will dominate. But Ravencoin, Ergo, Flux, those are just a handful of coins. I mean, the other one that looks promising right now is that NeoExa. I think that's a new one, the Capal algorithm, proof of work coin. There's a couple small other ones where the GPUs will probably head to, and probably new coins that come up. Who knows? But
yeah, Dynamo is a new coin, relatively speaking, and it was, at least in the beginning, far more profitable. And the reason I moved to Dynamo in December was because before the algorithm changed, it was 4 times more profitable than Ethereum was.
No, that's interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't know that, but then of course it changed in January, and then it changed again in March, and now it's still more profitable than Ethereum, but just barely. So it's actually negligible. Granted, once Ethereum goes to complete proof of stake, at least in the beginning, it probably still would, because I mean, right now we're looking at about 3.5 gigahash on Dynamo right now. I think somewhere between 2 and 3.5. And I mean, the total number of coins produced per day is 4,400. That's just the normal. That's a daily production. Because it's like ETH, it never changes. It doesn't have a halvening. It was and still is as profitable as ETH. And as soon as ETH disappears,
no, hold on. ETH does have a halvening.
What? No, it doesn't. It can't have a halvening. Pardon, it's an infinite coin. When does it have a halvening?
Does it not have a halvening?
How could an infinite coin have a halvening?
Are you talking about the potential burn?
There's a burn, but that's not a halvening. So
okay.
So Xander, if a portion of ETH miners go to Ravencoin, is that good for Ravencoin?
As far as blockchain security, yes. It should. I mean, it would increase the hash rate, which would increase the security of the network. But at the same time, more people would be, I believe, exposed to Ravencoin. Like they're more aware of it. More than likely, since Ravencoin does have the assets as far as NFTs, music, and metaverse and all that stuff, more people indirectly will start looking at not just Ravencoin but everybody else, like Flux, for example, and even Ethereum Classic. They have NFTs. Most of their projects come from the original Ethereum, so that's one thing. So for Ravencoin, I think it's going to be a positive for the coin and the network.
Yeah, the only drawback, of course, is that if the price of Ravencoin doesn't increase, then a huge swath of more GPUs joining the Ravencoin kapow is going to decrease profitability. Not that profitability isn't already low right now, but yeah, with people moving over to it with their GPUs, it's just going to decrease. And like I said, unless the price goes up. But this is it's so hard to know in a bear market if it's going to go up. But if
yeah, that's another thing, is that the coin technically right now is not profitable. So when GPU miners are trying to look to merge to or to move over to migrate to another algorithm, they're going to look at Raven coins, showing that there is no profit here. Why would they even decide to move over here? They'll just go somewhere else. So we might just miss that boat. It might just pass right.
No, I
right
doubt
after
it. People are going to join it. There's going to be a huge swath of people dumping their GPUs onto Ravencoin. It's going to happen, in my opinion. But the same thing goes for all coins that are capable of mining and making some profit. Now that people know that Dynamo can be profitable, close to Ethereum profitability, they're going to say, well, I want to get in on that. But the hope is that with more miners comes more churn. And the more churn you have, the more people are buying and selling, which is good for any network. Not just security, like Xander's pointing out, but for the sake of more people buying the coin. And if you have a tool like, as was argued in the last space we did, tokenization of Raven, as Raven is set to be, as it already is, then more people are like, hey, well, I should tokenize on Raven, and then you'll get even more use out of it, and the price will go up. That's the expectation. Will it happen? We don't know. We hope it will.
Yeah, I love what you just said. Because you were able to eloquently explain what the use case for Ravencoin is. Thank you.
Well, we talked about it last time, so I know what it is now, and understanding it better, it helps.
Hello, Lissa. What's up, Lissa?
Hi, Sunshine. You always say you never see me. I'm around.
Hello. Welcome.
Hi.
You wanna give your 2 satoshis before we wrap it up?
Oh, no. I was just like correcting you on it's a burn, not happening, but yeah. And of course I'm always here and around and whatnot. So I work with Xander on AM Daily, but most of the time it's me doing it. So that's all I'm really doing besides just NFTs. But yeah, I'm around. As you always say, you never see me, but I'm around.
Got it. Thank you. Anyone else have a last couple satoshis before we wrap it up? All right, then. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to be doing this at least once a week, is what Jake and I were talking about. So if you guys want to join us, we'll be back next week with a different topic. So with that said, stack sats and hodl. Adios.